Haleluyot. Yeah. So the guy was starting the Chazal. B'Shem Hashem na'aseh v'natzliach. Okay. We are in the middle of talking about the Hechalot, and we've done a few Shiurim now, discussing how the Biurim to go up. And let me just be Meshatef. I'll share the Sidur on here. There we are. So in the last Shiur, we're talking about the Biurim that are called Biyadei Atzilut. So let's do a quick explanation of what we mean by that. Yeah. So if we go right to the beginning of Shaharith, if you want to follow us through the Sidurim, I won't tell the page numbers, but you can try and just turn the pages yourself, right? So in the beginning, we said we did Zivu Kachbat. Zivu Kachbat means that we're doing a general birur for all the birurim that need to be done in Shaharith. The truth is, it's not. That is true, as we said. Ramani says that it's the kavanot of kavanot, because you don't have to do anything. You just start from the beginning and first bringing your koch from the ensof to be mevarer, right? And we said that is for all of the tefillah. The truth is, there is some truth in that, but when we see the siddur more accurately, we have to do it 3 times. So it means the first time we're only doing asiyah. Then the Baruch Shema we're going to do it again. Then it'll be for Yetzirah, and then the Shema Yotzer will be for Bria. But we have to do it in a general way 3 times, and then go through the Hechalot specifically. And the system is basically, we're saying that there's the Biurim that come in the first day, and then they go up, and then they come back down. And then the second day, right, when they go up again, they take up the ones of yesterday, right? And the ones of yesterday, ones of yesterday take up the ones of today. And the ones of yesterday, we divide them into the Gar and the Vak, right? Yeah, and the Gar has a Zivug in a Hechal, which is to do with that Hechal, but in that Hechal you didn't have all the different Nikudot or Parzufim, and the highest one is called Atik. And let's say you're in Hechal Yesod, which is Livnat Sapir. So it'll be the Hechal of Yesod of each one of the Parzufim. You have to take the Birim up to each one until you get to the Hechal Yesod of Atik Venuk. Of Yesod, yeah, but you have to go to the Yesod of each one of them till you get to the one of Atik, Yesod of Atik, and over there in that Hechal of Yesod, because you're in the Hechal Nata Sapir, so the Gar of yesterday does the Zivug, and that's the Eki Havaya, and it gives Koach to the Zun of yesterday, and the Zun of yesterday is Ma'aleh the Birim of today, or it's called Tikkun Ktsat, right? Now let's say you're in the Hechal of Chesed, right, Hechal Ha'ava of Asiyah. Right, Hatodah, I think is, or whatever it is, right? So when you come over there, it'll be the chesed of each part of they have to go up to get to the chesed inside Atik, and then there's 5 of those general ones, 5 of those parts of him, and each one of them in the chesed of Atik of each one of the 5 of the parts of him of that echal, right? There you've got the gar of yesterday, which does gives koach to the zun of yesterday, and the zun of yesterday is ma'aleh or tikkun ktsat. It's called to the ones of today. Okay, so that's what we learned last time. So if we go to page, so you'll see that at the beginning, of Kachbad, and you go through it, then you'll see that in the word ketoret, hasamim, then they come in, right? What does it mean they come in? It means the ones of today are coming in. They haven't yet come in, right? The ones we worked with before, really the ones of yesterday. It doesn't matter because the ones of yesterday are doing a tikkun for the ones of today generally, so it doesn't matter. They're coming in the word ketoret. And then when you get to Ketoret, then we jump to Ezehu mekoma. So now I'm on page 100. Okay, on page 100, we went through last week quite quickly the 8 stages that there are that we just really discussed, right? But when you break it down into details, there's 8 stages, right? So we're going to go over that again, generally, Bezrat Hashem. Then we look at one of the Chalot or Kabbalah Ezehu mekoma, and then we'll jump to Baruch Shema, and we'll carry on with the Yetzirah. Yeah, and we'll see the pattern how it repeats itself. So we've got over here number 1, levarer, right? So we look at the tikkun ha'hechalot ve'zivug kachbad befratut, right? The klalut was the zivug kachbad that we did in the beginning of Shaharith, right? In the beginning we started for the korbanot. Yeah, now we're doing the pratut. That means what you do in each hechal. So it says in the beginning, לפני העקדה כבר עשינו זיווג כחב"ד כללי. כדי לתת שפע לזון דאתמול כוח לברר. What does that mean? It means the gar of yesterday, of each one of these bechinot that we're doing, each part beprat, has a zivug to give koach to the zon of yesterday, right? Koach levarer, and the ones of yesterday can be mevarer the ones of today, which are the ones we're dealing with right now. Meaning from now, yes zivug kach bad prati behei patzufim de etmol. Meaning the ones of yesterday, in each one of them there's going to be a gar and a zun, right? The gar is going to give to the zun. כדי שיתחלק השפע הנ"ל בכל אחד ואחד להביא מוחין לבירורים. And that's called the ones of yesterday, when they make this tikkun, they're giving mochin to the ones of today to complete them, to fix them, whatever the tikkun is now that they have to get. And that's called a tikkun ksat. And then we said, then they'll all go up to whichever echad you're in, you take up everything to the one above it, and the one above it, and the one above it, until you go up and up and up. Yeah? So what are the stages? Number one, levarer. That's called we're calling it birur rishon. What's that mean? Chelkei birurim, all the birurim of today, which are earmarked for today, right? Yitchalku, they have to then break down into for each hechal and each partzuf within each hechal. 5 partzufim in each hechal. Yeah? Yitchalek behechal hazeh. So now let's say we're now in Ezehu command, so we're in Livnat HaSapir, or Vasiyah. So we now have to break down all those birurim that belong to Hechal HaSapir de Asiyah. And inside Hechal HaSapir, Livnat HaSapir of Asiyah, there's 5 partzufim within that. Yeah? Okay? No responses? Huh? Yeah? Is there anything complicated or real clear? Right? So we're taking all the birurim and we're going to be mechalek them echal and echal. So there's 21 echalot, 7 in each of biyah. Yeah? And then within that, you then break it down further into 5 partzufim within each echal. Yeah? That's what we're saying here. And where did this come from? Which is called the noga, klipat noga. What came into the kedusha? And this you can find in all these sources that we're going to be Ale Nahar, Hagat HaSadeh, Ale Nahar, Petach Enaim, Chadash, Sha'ar Hamim. This is how they all learn it works, right? So now that you brought them in, what do you mean? Levarer means to bring them in. See the word, what's the Lashon Levarer? So, Birurim, use it just like that, you know? Yeah. What does it mean? Levarer means to earmark. These ones, to separate them, like Birur on Shabbat. The big shelah coming up now. Can you, because this year especially, can you do Bekat Ilanot on Shabbat? Right? A couple of times says no, but Rav Avadi says he had a tshuva from him in Ktav Yad, where he was Palpen and he decided it's okay. Rav Avadi decided it's okay. Benson was again, so Ben Shom was again.
All the couple of times, the only call he brings from doing it is Chaim Pelagi more call time.
Yeah.
From Chaim Pelagi,
yeah.
Says, although I wrote over there, my son of Abraham told me, no, we do it. So the couple of Chaim, it's obviously Steve when Chaim Pelagi was closing.
I think Rav Avadi talks about it. Rav Avadi, he's misunderstood. It's okay. Rav Ben Shom says it's better not to, and Sion, but so it's a whole big thing. When Birurim of Shabbat, what's it got to do with Olamot? I know there's a story that Sulam Mutzafi says, his son says, Ben Sion, he says there's this place in what's it called, Motza, where they would go down to do every Rosh Chodesh Nisan. They go over there to do. I used to go to Ravila also to take a coach and go over there. So I like to go there. So Arab owned this house, right? And there's this certain tree. They came back one year and he said, "No, don't come here. He said, "Why?" He said, "Last year you came. I don't know what you did. You mevared everything. There's nothing left. There's no trees left. It's all died." It took up everything. All the neshamot went up. The tree died. There's nothing left of it. It's tikkun. So there's a biru. You're taking these. Well, actually, the neshamot, which they go through dachtzam, the domem samei chai medaber. So they go from the chai, from the vegetable, right? As they go up from someach to chai, right? So it's a biru. Taking it from one arm to the next, right? So the idea is that if you understand how it works, then this is borah. You're not allowed to be borah on Shabbat. But you see from there that the lashon birur and borer, that's what we're talking about. It's a good way to understand it. We're taking the biurim, separating the ones for the rest of the 6,000 years, and fixing the ones of today. In fact, if we would learn it much more about quotes, it doesn't actually work like that. Every day when we make a birur, we take everything for everything that's left to do, right? And we fix a certain amount of them, and whatever remains behind, the sharaim from the Rebbe goes back for tomorrow. So every day you have to mevar mechadash, everything. So Rebris comes from mechadesh b'tov b'chol yom tamid. And I've got rayot there happy because it's what it says very clearly in the Rashash, and also in Asharam, and also in Shah Kavanot when it talks about this particular aspect. And where is it? At the end of Sim Shalom. When you finish the bracha, I've got a raya that at the end of Sim Shalom there's a kavanah over there, and you put it back, goes back into the Klipat Noga for tomorrow, so that your children can be mevarer. Yeah, there'll be nothing to be mevarer if everyone fixes everything. Yeah, the kavanah is not like my machonim. Most of some of the kavanah we have is not to mitaken everything, but to just leave what's not yet fixed for tomorrow to be fixed. Yeah. Hopefully it'll be the last day tomorrow, but today will be the last day. But we don't know when that day is. So levarer means to separate the ones we're fixing today and now, specifically in each hechal. And then when you get them into the hechal, in the ketoret, then it says number 2. יעלו לבחינת היכל הזה, שיש בכל אחד מהם פרצופים הכוללים. That means there's 5 partsufim inside each היכל. And if you look down, just in the next number 3, you'll see the picture of the 5 partsufim in this particular היכל. And there's 7 היכלות in Asiyah. There's 21 altogether if you go through Bia. So in each, so 5 times 21. What's that? 105? There you go. 105 times we have to do this, right? So we get to Shemona Esrei. 105 times we have to do it. Okay? 5 in each echal. And so it says over here, שיש באותו היכל, אלא שהאבק שבכל היכל, שהם פרצופים zun. You get very confused with there's so many zuns and so many gars and so. It just means that in everything that you fix, right? In everything that you fix, you only have to bring the gar. The vak is already fixed. Hashem fixed it for us. This is a much bigger sugya that applies in many different areas, right? Even when we do, let's say, a particular day, like today now is Yom Sheni. So when we do the Bureau of Yom Sheni, so there's 5 partsufim of Zah, 5 partsufim of Nok, right? The first 2 partsufim is called Zah and Nok, is really vak, because Zah is 6 out of 10 and Nok is 1 out of 10, and the other 3 are 10 out of 10 already, they're complete. But we say the vak is metukan, misheshet mebereshit, you don't have to fix it. We have to start with the bina, meaning you got nuk, za, and then you got bina, which is ima. So in the parts of ima is the third one, that's the one we fix. And in that parts of the vak is also metukan. You start from the bina, the za. If you look in the Sidur Rashash, in every kavanah that you do, it will say da 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 da, the bina, the za. The more chokhmah, right? More chokhmah, because until you get to the Holy Shemona Esrei, you have to be in this kulam chokhmah sita. So it's the more chokhmah means the first moach of the keter. Till you get to Sim Shalom, you're only working in the 4 mochin of the keter. We've done this, but you forgot it. I just want to try to connect it, right? So the whole of Shemona Esrei, till you get to Sim Shalom, you're still dealing with that one more chokhmah of in keter. There's 4 mochin, and that's part of keter, which is sometimes called Chabad, right? And then you go to Chabad, which is the other 4, which is Atik v'Nuk, Arich v'Nuk, and then you go to Abba Vima and Yotzer, and then Zah, Nuk, and Yaakov Rachel. So it comes out the first 4 parts of him are already fixed when you get to Sim Shalom, and the other 8 you have to do in Sim Shalom. So all that's a code that's called Bina, the Bina Dizah, right? Because the whole week you're doing the Bina, because the Vak's already metukan. So the first 2 parts of him is called Zah, Nuk is fixed, and the Bina is the 3rd part, so then the Chokman and the Keter. So we look at these Chamisha parts of him, that's what we're looking at over here as well. You see, Nok, Za, Yashsut is called Bina, Bina, or Ima. Abba v'Ima together is called Chokhmah, Nekudah Sheni, and Arich is called Chokhmah, or it's called Keter. These words are interchangeable. And if you know which system you're dealing with, it all means the same thing. But those people who get confused, then they go away, they don't come back, and then they're not meant to learn. Okay, give up too early. Rambam says in Moreh Nevuchim, there's a mashal of the person who wants to go after the Ruchnius, right? In the English Oxford translation, it says the metaphysical, right? Those who want to follow the metaphysical connection with the Almighty, right? So there's like a wall of a big mansion, and the first guy jumps over the wall, and then the next one he gives up. The next one goes the wall after that, and the wall after that. There's only one guy that goes into the inner wall. He doesn't give up. So Rambam says that's the one who has a proper relationship with Hashem, and then they understand it to mean who learn Kabbalah. The Rambam didn't learn Kabbalah. You see that there are a lot of sources that he knew things. Especially later on, he said an old man came and taught him things. The Chidab brings down a Ktav Yad from Abar Benel that he said, in my later days, there was a man that came and taught me things. Had I known them, I would have changed the whole of Mishnah Torah according to that. And the tradition it was talking about that he learned Kabbalah. So the Rambam was that he was able to learn things logically through rules of reasoning in the Gemara. And he got to the answers through using rational approaches. But later on, he saw it was all connected to the Kabbalah as well. Anyway, it's another whole other story. And one tells you the Rambam didn't follow Kabbalah's nonsense because the Gemara says most people die from Ayin Hara. He talks about Shindalid. He talks about all these things. So if you say these things don't exist, then half the Gemara is going to disappear. And the Rambam clearly didn't believe that. Anyway, so now number 2 is La'alotam. And then you got next one, Ulevarer. What does that mean, Levarer? We're going back to it again. Yeah, that means you further break them down for each partzuf. Right, the first birur was to take them into this hechal. Then within the hechal, you have to break them down into the 5 partzufim inside the hechal. Ulevare birur sheni, b'chol echad mehei bechinot hechal hazeh sheyesh behei partzufim. Right, so in each one of the hei partzufim now, you've got to see there's a hechalot going across them as well. Right, so that means you've got 7 hechalot inside each partzuf. Of the 5 partzufim which are inside the hechal. 7 hechalot, 5 partzufim, and then again 7 hechalot. Yeah? And in that we're saying, yitchalku habirurim le'ei partzufim pratiyim sheyesh be'oto hechal. There's 5 partzufim inside each hechal, inside each partzuf. Right, because in the previous section, number 2, we talked about the 5 partzufim. Then break that down into 7 hechalot inside each partzuf. And then inside each one of those hechalot, again, you got 5 partzufim. So you got 5 out of 7, out of 5, out of 7. Well, see what we're talking about? You can look at a picture and say, yeah, that's whatever's going on in there, right? But the emet is, you can actually go down to this degree. The Sadeh says in the beginning of Yotzer Chaim, when it starts taking, it says this tamta, sha'ar tamta. You got ta'amim, nekudot, tevot, and otiyot. And they break down to ab, sag, ma, ben. And then suddenly from 16, it becomes 4 out of 4, 16. And suddenly it becomes 64 bechinot. The Sadeh says it breaks down and breaks down. He says, but don't think it's like a fractal that carries on forever. That's malabatish. It's true, you can go on and on and on and on. He says, no, this chokhmah goes to a certain point that you can be tofes. And that's where your kavanah, you have to know where your kavanah is meant to go in that particular kavanah. The sechel enoshi. And efeshiyad magat, right? But each kavanah, you need to know where it is. You don't have to know everything. You just need to know where the kavanah, what you're referring to, is referring to. Right? Because like in the Rafach has got a whole system where you take the letters and you do the milui of the milui of the milui, and by the time you get to the 12th generation, you got thousands of letters. But the Shem Yud Kei Vav Kei, right? Hamid Daftaya made a chart. Got to the 12th level, and he said, stopped over there, right? He said, just to be tofes what we're talking about. Yeah, as I mentioned once before, there was a Machluf from Salem. He wrote a sefer, Tapuchei Zahav, and he's got this chart of the ibur of the shanim. It's like massive, and he knew every chokhmah. He tells you how to make a golem, how to must be a shindala to be your eved, and to put him in the cellar, and we have to do certain things for so many days, and then you tell him all these Arabic, Moroccan. There's a rabbi today who's a Nazir. He knows how to do all of this. He's got shiur on it, right? And there's a chart this big. All handwritten. I've got it at home. Every year the Ibur, the Shana, how to work. Unbelievable. What a brain, right? And if you see him, it'd be like a Saba, walking in the street, like if you'd see what they wrote, the bet din of fairs and the bet din of each place that he was in Morocco, what they write about him, like Malach Hashem Sevakot. Anyway, so the point of the reason I'm saying that is that you can give up. I think, how can I know all those details of directory within a directory within a directory? Oh, give up already. So the answer is you don't. You just have to work out the system and understand that now I'm dealing with a prat within a prat within a prat within a prat. That's where the tikkun is. Yeah. You can do this every day, ashrecha, but I think it's very difficult, right? I see Rav Atia once a week on a Friday when they pray for 4 hours, and he takes so much time after every day. You have to push yourself to where you can go, right? That's the key. And the key to this chokhmah, we mentioned before, it says in Mevosh Yarim, on the Zohar, that says that to learn Torah, it says those mechakein, that they wait on every piece that you learn. But if you learn slow, I mean, the key in all the living of Torah, you see people who go slowly and they learn something in depth, properly, clearly, and everyone in the kollel is running away, covering ground, going through many simanim and everything. The next year they've probably forgot half of what they learned, if they're lucky. And the one that goes very, very slowly and he really writes it out and he makes it detailed, eventually that's what stays forever. So the same thing over here. Take something, learn it very much in depth properly and practice it. And before you know it, you'll feel so good from that, you'll feel confidence to then take on something else. Yeah. So let's carry on. So in the second line of number 3, all right, that in each hechal we broke down the hechal to chamisha partzufim klaliyim, and then inside each hechal, each partzuf klali, there's 7 hechalot. And you see now in each one of these 5, the yellow box says above it hechal livnat sapir. In each one of the 5 columns underneath this number 3, you see to the right of each one, there's a yellow box on top, kach bad mol. Above that it says hechal livnat sapir. And then you've got another 6 going across. They don't really go across, but it's the only way we can create something to make us understand, appreciate the levels that are involved. So in each one, we're only interested in Divat Sapir of that Parzuf. And in that Livnat Sapir of each of the Chamisha Parzufim, underneath that, you've got the 5 Parzufim, right, which are going according to Parzufim. And the last one, it says Yisod Malchut, the Atik Venuk. Because we are in the general Parzuf of Livnat Sapir, which is Yisod Malchut, so we have to go to the Yisod Malchut, and you have to start on the right side where you see Yasud, because we said that the Vak is already metukan. So you see on the second line, it says, Ela, she'avak shebekol echal, she'em parzufzun, parzufezum, kvar nitkenu shelo al yedenu, that was Misheshet Bereshit al yedei Ma'atzil ha'elyon. Because Baruch Hu fixed it for us. So if you look at the bottom, you don't see all the parzufim. You see 3 white columns and a yellow one. Yeah? What's pshat? The ones next to it, which would have been Zanuk, I didn't put them in because they're already metukan. So these new Burim, they came into the right one, which is Yasut. Then they went to the Yisod of Malchut of that one. Then underneath there's a little red arrow, which is very tiny, that goes to the left, and then it goes into Abba V'Ima, to the Yisod of Malchut of that. And then Yisod of Malchut of Atik Venuk, and then eventually Yisod of Malchut of Atik Venuk. Yeah, can see? And Chachamani and another Chachamim say that over here in this Atik Venuk, in this Yisod Malchut of Atik Venuk, that means the Livnat Sapir of the Atik Venuk of the Livnat Sapir, in each one of the Chamisha Parzufim of Livnat Sapir, in each one of those 5 places, we've now isolated 5 places in each one of these columns. Each one's got 1 Atik Venuk and the Yisod Malchut of that Atik Venuk. Yeah. That is where yesterday's Kachbad and Zun went to. They're waiting over there, right? So the limousine, the red carpet is all waiting over there for these Burim to come in. Yeah, that's where you go through passport control to go in, right? To go through to get to the plane and go up. So that's what we're saying over here. So now again, so when we say Zun is already metukan, that's the ones which are not in the picture. Those are the parzufim within Hechalab Sabir of each parzuf. That's already fixed. Yeah, and then we carry on with the Aval Arba Parzufim Kachbad. What does it mean Arba Parzufim Kachbad? It means Atik Venuk, Arich Venuk, Abba V'Ima, and Yasut. Those are the 4 Parzufim of Kachbad. Yeah. It says, this is the kol hechal shehem yasut ve'abba ve'imma ve'arich ve'atik yomin tzarich tikun. לכן כאן נתחלקו הבירורים. So then it says בירור, number 3, לברר. So you have to מחלק את הבירורים לספירת הפרטי ששייך לבחינת ההיכל הזה, שיש בדלת פרצופי כחבה. That means the 3 white ones and the yellow one. לכל בחינה ההיכל הזה, שיש בה"א פרצופי העובי. So if you go and take the Ali Nahar, and there's a certain Siddur which has a Hagah in it, it will explain these details. So let's quickly now, we've done 1, 2, and 3, because before we forget 1, 2, and 3, let's go to the next page and see them inside the actual Kavanah, the Kawana. If you've got a regular Siddur Rashash, it's harder to see it because there's just lots of words. And you break it down like this into 5 shmone points, and the general rule in our Siddur is when it's extra to the original Lashon, it's in square brackets. And it's in a font called David rather than Rashi. Okay, so we said Yechav and Levarer. So that's number 1. What's the first birur? That means the ones of today. So we've written in square brackets. Michelkei birurim she'alu baketor mekali noga. Right. So we should know that by now. That all came in the milat. So what's this birur? To take from that a section and put it into the general hechal livnat sapir of Ezehu mekoma, as opposed to the other 6 of Asiya and 7 of Bria, or Yetzirah and 7 of Bria. So that's the first birur, to put them into this echal. The rest is details. Kedim, chitzonim, laim, it's also details, right? Number 2, and then within the hechal, you have to take them up. So it says la hechal hazeh, im nefesh shelo, and more pratiut. Right, but the main point is that you're taking it to the Hechal Livnat HaSpir, Malchut veYesod Dezad Asiya, the kol partzufim of all the 5 partzufim. So we've written down in brackets, right? Hechal Livnat HaSpir dechol chamisha nekudot hakolelim deobi. So that was number 2. You already put them into 5 different hechals, 5 different partzufim. Then you have to break each one of those hechalot. We said into another 7. So we go down to number 3. We go down. So this is number 3. So just before we get to number 3, let's see what we can see in the picture. Right? We didn't put them there just to be looking at, to look nice. Right? So it says Echal Livnat HaSapir in the Echal picture, yeah? Yisodu Malchut, right? Because there's 7 Echalot, and this is one of them. Then it says Zad Asiya. Zad Asiya is Shaharith Shel Chol. There's different highways that go up to Shemaim. It's something we haven't learned. And in each tefillah, it uses a different highway. Then the Mishnah Hasadim explains it in much more depth, right? So Shaharith Chol is always called Za de Atzilut. Za de Asiya, then it'll be Za de Yetzirah. So you're going up to that highway. If you've been Arvit, then you'll be in Nuk. It's just another word for the tefillah that you're in. Shabbat's somewhere else, Musaf is somewhere. Each one's got a different, they all go up to Shemaim, but it's a different highway. So we're working in a highway called the M1, right? The Abdil, right? It's called Za de Asiya. Shaharith Dechol. So I put it in brackets, Shaharith Dechol. And since Yisodu Malchut, so the Nikud of the Sfirat of Yisod is Shuruk. So that's why in later Siddurim they put in this Eke Havaya with Shuruk to show you that you're in Yisod. I'm not going to explain when it's Yisod and when it's Yisodu Malchut because it's not necessary for now. And then underneath that, so that's in all the Siddurim. Generally, you'll see that in most of the Siddur Yarev, Nidfas. Then we've added it on 2 boxes. Underneath that, it says, V'chen olim itam, mochin shlemim dezun she'adu le'esiya b'yom shlishi. What's mochin shlemim dezun? That means the ones which are on the 3rd day, what we learned about last week. They're completely fixed. They're coming back on the 3rd day, and they're going to have a zivug in nefilat apayim leholada. That's basically what we're learning, right? So that's 1 box. Then it says Mochim Shlemim Dezun She'adu Le'Siyah. We've done that, right? Okay. Should all be really in 1 box, but I don't know why I put it in 2 boxes now. It's done, it's done. Underneath that, there's other things as well that are coming up here that the Batile Gani says, you realize there are other things going on here. We're only talking about what we're fixing, but as you're going up, there's other things going along with it, right? There's the ones of Mincha. Because Mincha doesn't have is a mekoma. It doesn't have the kitor. It has a, you do the Yudalif, but it's not for that. It's only to make garesh the klipot. The ones of mincha go up now because the kavanot you have to do in Shema. There's no Shema in mincha. So when you're doing in Shema, you do twice, one for Shaharith, one for mincha, and the ones of mincha wait over there until you get to mincha later on in the day. So the biurim have to go up. When did the biurim go up? Now, right? Biurei minchat erev Shabbat kodesh. There's certain if it's erev Shabbat, there's certain biurim that go up that during the we do bina and we do chokhmah in Shmon Esrei and in lachash and chazara. But the keter of that lachash and chazara we don't do the whole week until mincha ma'arshak mincha erev Shabbat. It's a very very high tefillah, which is why the Yotzer makes a person come late or miss it or not bother. Or miss very quickly because it's the most important tefillah of the week of Chol. Yeah, yeah. That's the Tarikh we're talking about. That's mincha erev Shabbat. There's a better. I put mincha erev Shabbat, but the real normally the Rashi is ma'ashak. Okay. Underneath that, if it's Rosh Chodesh, there's another keter even higher than the one that comes every Shabbat. Every it comes only once a month on Rosh Chodesh. When the biurim are going to go up, you have to take them up, right? And the ones of Arvit, according to the Shem and Sasson, we learn not like that. We learn the biurim of Arvit go up in Arvit, but the Shem and Sasson learns it goes up in Shaharith. So what's going on in Arvit? He says that's the kelim primim which are chozer from Shaharith, and not the actual biurim of the kelim chitzonim. So that's a little bit of them. So it's good general knowledge to see that's like in brackets, in parentheses, right? Now we go back to what we said before. So 1 and 2 was we now in number 1 we went into the Hechal. Number 2 went to the 5 parts of him generally of the Hechal. Now we have to divide each partzuf into 7 Hechalot inside each partzuf. Number 3, ulevarer. What does it mean to separate, to filter, and to like borer of Shabbat? Ulevarer. Hey Hechalot shebetoch livnat asapir that we mentioned before. Chelkei Yisod Malchut, which is the Bechina Prati. Right? In each one, the kachbad de melachim. What does it mean kachbad? It means of the 4 parts of him which were not nitkan. Right? We said the vak is metukan already, but the kachbad is not metukan. So we have to make 4 parts of him inside each hechal. I don't know why I wrote hechal. It should not be chamisha hechal. It should be sheva hechalot. Yeah, I just realized it says chamisha hechal. She's sheva hechalot. Yeah, 7 hechalot inside if not a sapir. No, hey parts of him it should be. Hey parts of him inside the. We already talked about that before. Okay. What we want to write over here, I might have to change the Siddur. Just seen it now. It should say, Sheva hechalot betoch chamisha partzufim of livnat hasapir. In this biur. Yeah? That's what it should say. Yeah? That's the pratut of it. Without Hashem will fix it. Yeah? Because that's if in the previous pages we said it was number 3, right? Let's go back to the previous page, and then again, we'll read it, and then we'll go into number 4 until the end. So we go back to the previous page, number 3. What does it say? In each one of the 5 bechinot in the hechal hazeh, right? So there's 5 parts of him in each hechal. Yesh, parts of him inside each one of the 5. Yitchalku abirim le. Hey partzufim pratiyim sheyesh beoto hechal ela shehavak shebechol hechal. Right, so I don't think this is right. It should be sheva pratiyim. I have to go back again and see what the lashon is in these places. Okay. Now they're going over it again. We'll have to fix this up maybe for next time. I'm just trying to work out what's this hechalot and what other hey parts of him. It could be this Hey Parzufim, and not Hechalot, but the way it's done over here in the picture, it says them as Sheva Hechalot going across. So go back and check it again. I don't want to say something until I check it inside again. Okay, but you see over here that this further, you have to get to the Yisodu Malchut inside Atik. Then that's where it's going to take place in 5 different places. Okay, Vak is Metukan, and then you go to the Kachbad. And then you take it up to the last one, which is the highest of all of them, which is called Atik Venuk. Okay. Now, number 4. Let's try and do number 4. And then you take them up. What does it mean to take them up? That means you take them across each part of the 3 white ones till you get to the yellow one in each of the 5 places. Right? That means in each one of those 4 parts of film, which are the 3 white ones and the yellow one of each 5, right? In each one of them, there's a sfira prati of this called Yisod, because you're in Yisod. So I've written down in smaller writing, Le'otot sfira de Yasut, ומשם לאותו ספירה של אבא ואמא, משם להאריך, משם עד עתיק יומין. Yeah? Or עתיק ונוק, it's the same. ושם, באותו ספירה de עתיק יומין, it means today, now, I mean, this Hechal is Yisod, because there's a mekoma. But the one after that will be Netzach. Right, so one of the hod. I mean, it's it will be the same hod of each one of them. It's the same formula. Yeah. Nimsa. Shisham be'oto sfira de'atik yomin nimsa kach ba'ded mol. That's the one you got the couple of mol that will then make the zivug and give it to the zun of that mol. Okay, and then you got the sources for that. After you get to that kachbad in the 5 different places, which is in the yellow one, in the atik of each one of the 5, yeah. So then there's a zivug. The zivug is the kachbad. In the kachbad, in the gad, is a zivug. Number 5, zivug. באותו סביבה הפרטי שיש בעתיק יומין, יהיה זיווג על ידי כחבד אתמול, די אחד הזה, די פרצופים of the 5 פרצופים הנ"ל. Yeah. And then after that, this is number 6. So now, in the sidurim, if you have a regular sidur, anyone got a regular sidur? Of Rashash, I call it regular sidur. Okay, it doesn't matter. But in there you'll see that it only has this kavanah of lehamshich lahem. You haven't got number 6. You've only got number 7, right? But when you learn it more pratiyut in the mefarshim, especially in the sadeh, it comes out there's a number 6 as well, because number 6. Who's number 6? Number 6 is the zun of yesterday. It's called the mevarer. So it's one of the most important parts of the whole kavanah is the one that's being mevarer, the ones of today, and that zun of yesterday. Where did they get the koch from? From the gar of yesterday, right? And that isn't written clearly. So Alena says you got to put it in, right? So you see, it's one haga'ah and it's sidur katzar. It's a certain fuss of in Yerushalayim, the Ashkenazim opened the yeshiva of Mekubalim about 100 years ago, called Shaharith, still there till today. Gamli Ravinovich is one of the rabbis there, of Eisenbach, all the Oibach, these great rabbis, Ashkenazi rabbis of Mekubalim of today that are known. And when they opened it up, they went to the Sadeh and they asked him to come and give a drasha because they didn't have any Mesorah. They had to come to the Sfadim to get the Mesorah, the Rashash. And then they printed the Sidur Rashash, and they said we want to put the Hagaot of the Sadeh inside it. So he agreed, on condition that they won't distribute it to people; it'll only be for them. So in the first edition, in Chelek Aleph, it's the same Sidur Nidfas, exactly the same print that we have today of the Sidur Nidfas, but the difference has got Hagaot or of Sadeh. So the Ashkenazim put the Sadeh's Hagaot inside. When it came to print the second volume, he said, "I'm not agreeing to put my study because you distributed it to people. You made it available. I don't want it to be. It's not ready to be available. So we only got this Haggadah of the Sadeh in volume number 1 only because the Ashkenazim Shaharith they published it. The Sadeh was an incredible. You know the Ben Ish Chai, when he sent Rav Simon Eliyahu to Yerushalayim, in the end he became a Talmid of the Sadeh. He became blind. He had a problem with his eye, and there was a German doctor that fooled him and made him blind, basically. Yeah. And so who wrote his Sfarim? The Kaf HaChaim and Rav Yehuda Ftaya. They were his main 2 Talmidim. And Rav Asher Zelig Margulius was another Talmid of his. right? Got a lot of svarim in Eretz Yisrael. Yeah. So when they came to print the Sefer, the rabbis of the Rabbanim of Bet El were angry with the Sadeh. Because when he first came to Yerushalayim, he went to them, and he was young. He came with a whole entourage from Chalab. And they were Gedolei Olam. And he was a massive Talmid Chacham in Halacha. And he went there and he argued a few times with them because because his Drush Hadat, which is what the Rashash says is the Ikar, they weren't following the interpretations, and he felt that he couldn't argue with them because they were older. So he went and opened his own yeshiva, Rechuvot HaNahar, in Shuk Bukhari. And that's where all these rabbis became. A lot of Bukharim supported him. Got like the Messiah, Shlomo Saif, and others. He became very big. Chacham Nissim was still around from the Ben Ish Chai's time as well. So anyway, when he came to print his book, they came and tried to stop them publishing it. They said he's no one to write a sefer. So they didn't know what to do. So as Talmidim said, and the rich man who was going to sponsor it, I think his name was Abraham or something like that, said, let's send it to two Gedolei Olam and see what they say. They took the Sefer, Efash Lema, they sent it to the Munkacher Rebbe and to the Leshem. And they asked them, what do you think of this Sefer, right? So they, instead of writing back a letter, they sent Haskamot. Said, there's a Gadol like this in the world, Yachid Bedoro. So if you open the Efash Lema, it's got two Haskamot inside it, one from the Munkacher Rebbe and one from the Leshem. And they took it straight away and they published it. And eventually he became the Sarah, he became the Gadol. Everyone was makni at him in the end. Right? He didn't ask for Haskama. He didn't even know that behind his back they were doing that. Suddenly he gets a cable rise with a Haskama to Harav HaGaon, Yachid Bedoro, Melukvar Elaki, right from the Leshem and from the Munkacher Rebbe, from Chad El-Azhar, right? You can imagine Gedolei Olam at that time. Right? And then his greatness became known. So this Sidur Katzar, which has this note, is the only place where you would know this from. Right? Not written anywhere else. That's why I'm telling you this whole story. Right? So it's not even the regular Sidur and Fast. Even Rav Shmueli doesn't have it in his one. Right? But it's so important because now you know where it's coming from. Right? If you're learning the system of the Sadeh, you know it's coming from the Zun of yesterday, who got the Koach in number 5 from the Zivug of the Kachbad of yesterday. Right? So the Kachbad, and that is Zivug Kachbad. If you learn it in the Rashash, clearly it's what it says. The ones of yesterday have a Zivug, the ones of today, and then they get of yesterday, and then get the Kach, the ones of today. So the different subtlety between number 6 and number 7. Number 6 is Ulehamshich Mehem, and number 7 is Ulehamshich Lahem. Lahem are the ones of today that we're trying to fix. Mehem is from yesterday's ones. Yeah? So when you say the stories like this, it sounds like stories, but believe me, you remember this more than you remember what's written inside, if you listen to what we said, right? Because I've still got ringing in my ears, my Rebbe all the time. You know how many times I went over this, right? Hamshich mehem, hamshich lahem, right? And then you see, and you remember that's obviously the two different stages, right? להמשיך מהם, מזבוק כך בד אתמול, שבספירת הפרטי דעתיק ונוק, that we said in each of the 5, it went into that יסוד of each one of them. דהיכל הזה, which is the יסוד. דהי פרצופים הנ"ל, according to all the 5 פרצופים across, yeah? ממשיכים לזון דאתמול, right? So it's from the ones, the zun of yesterday to the zun of today. Lezun de'etmol. First of all, it went to zun de'etmol, shefa nikra ksut, right? And that's mehem, meaning from the zun of etmol. I don't know if it's clear as it should be over here, because it says lezun. It means first zun has to get it from the kachbat, right? Right, and that's the mehem, and it should say over here now, and then he'll give it over to the zun of today, right? Which is number 7. Ulam sheikh lahem mizun de'etmol that we just mentioned. ממשיכים מוכין, לגדלות, לבירורים חדשים. Those are the ones that we want to fix. So now we got to the tachlis. Number 7 is the tachlis. You're giving it the ones that came in today, the new guys that we're waiting to be fixed. Shalayom. Shehem beoto sira prati. It's in the sira, meaning the yisod. Ezehu mekoma is. Shebechol partzuf sheyesh bekachbad, in all ones of the 4 kachbads. Sheyesh bekachbad. Right? The Hechal הזה, in this Hechal, the פרצופים הנ"ל, ברורei עשייה תחתונה נשארים. Now, Now you have to remember that there's two families. The ones of Asiyat Tachtanim, they stay where they're not going to go up and up and up. They're going to stay where they are. They'll go up Mishlat Litlat, we learned a few weeks ago, right? But the ones that have to go up, the Biyad Atzilut, as we keep calling them, the Lashon Sadeh and Shari Rachamim, Ulibim Asiyad Atzilut, because they are Biyad Atzilut. Now we're doing Asiyad Atzilut. Then the next one will be Yitzir, right? Yesh Tikkun Tzat. Then you give them a little bit of a Tikkun in each Echad that you're going to do it in. And then it says number 8, now the Chitzoniyut are the Abba Ma'asim that can't go up themselves. So we know that when you get to Baruch Shema, you hold your sitzi and you spread them across and take them up with the ones of the Pnimiyut. But there's a chidush here in the Semen Sasson that you have to do in every Hechal. You don't only do it when you hold your sitzi. You actually do it in every Hechal. Every time you finish fixing the Pnimiyut, you have to take the Chitzoniyut and say, we're not leaving you behind. We're not going to forget Ron Arad. Still has to find his remains, even no matter what, right? You can't forget them. Okay? So that's the whole system, the eight numbers. So now we go back to the Kavanah in Ezehu mekoma on the next page 101, right? And in page 101, we got the bottom, number 4. You go from Partzuf to Partzuf of Kachbad of each one of the 5. Le'alotam le'yisod malchut the Kachbad, le'yisod malchut the Abba ve'ima, and Arich, and Atik Yomin. You go across, we had that picture that you go across, right, with the arrows underneath. You can see it on the top of the page as well, where you got number 5 on the left column. So you'll see the little picture to the left of it. That's what we were just talking about, that they go underneath those little arrows till you get to your sword of Atik Venuk, right? So in this Hechal, it's going to be a sword. The next one is going to be Hoded, depending which one you're in. I've lost my place. Let me bring it back. Here we are. So, yeah, Yisod Malchut of each one. Number 5. Zavigam. Who's the Zivug? The Kachbad of yesterday. Zivug Kachbad Edmol. Yisod Malchut Atik Venuk. Bechol Echal Livnat Asapir. Shebekol Partzufim. You go to the Echal. So that's a bit of each one of the 5. Like we've said before. Divided into 7 or 5 of each Echal. So then that you've now done the zivug of yesterday's kachbad, yeah. You do that zivug. That's the Eki Havaya. You can see that Eki Havaya only came in when Rav Siman Eliyahu Sidur. It wasn't it didn't have it, but Mistama it should be there because there's a zivug, so you have to do the zivug, right? About the kavanah. There's a lot of things that. There's two approaches to the kavanot when you get to pratei pratiyut of kavanot. The Bati Legani, for example, in many places says, "With samech al me'ayin." You should know when you learn a bit more, you understand this happens. So the Rosh Hashanah didn't put everything into the siddur. So it's not a chidush if you add it in, because if you understand what you learn, you know it needs to be there from somewhere else. There are others who are more makpid and say, no, if it's not there, then you mustn't add it in. There's a reason why they put it in and they didn't put it in. And sometimes you get caught in between these two approaches because there's something that's so nachutz, it's so clearly needs to be there. And then they'll find some kitvei yad somewhere that in one siddur, in Shavuot, and some girsah which they had, and suddenly it's there. So they can have a binyan to everywhere else. Right? That's how this system works. So then you end up, some do it and some don't do it, and some put it in, and some put it in 3 times in 3 different ways, right? But the main thing is to understand the general story. Storyline is there is definitely a zivug over here. And if Chacham Siman Eliyahu, who was the Talmid of the Sadeh, put it in his siddur, it's worth having it. It's worth having it in there. Since then, everyone else put it in more or less as well. Anyway, okay. Number 6, V'lehamshich mehem. Mehem. Who's mehem? Right. Here it says over here, Mikachba de Edmol, right? Shefa Nikra Kisud, Lezun de Edmol, right? So Mehem over here could mean one of two things. I'm still not 100%. Does it mean from the Kachba to the Zun, or from the Zun to the Zun of today? You understand? So here we've used the interpretation. Mehem means from the kachbad, which is more mashma over there, because that's what you're talking about. From the kachbad of yesterday to the zun of yesterday. Yeah. We're going to go back to the page before. Does it say in the page before? Number 6. Does it be right? Chachma Dedmol, right? That's how we should learn it, right? If I didn't say it correctly before, that's the way we should learn it, right? From the Chachma Dedmol to the Zuna Dedmol. Yeah. So that's Mehem. That's where it's coming from. And this special shefa is called Ksut. Shal Ksut Ve'ona. Yeah. And then number 7, Lamshich Lahem Mizun Dedmol. Right? The next stage to the Birim of today. Chalkei Mochin de Gadlut. Primi Makif. Im Chalkei Nanachi de Nachi de Nefesh. Because we're in Olam Asiyah. And basically the Kavanah is this is the most important Kavanah. Because this is what you're being Moshech to the Birim of today to fix them. That was called Tikkun. Not just Tikkun Ksat. Even for the Bia Tachtonim you have to give this. So what you see is Kachbad, which are Mochin. So you're Moshech Mochin to them. And that's the Nanachi that you see in the box. And then you break it down into 2 different families, the Asya Tachtona, which is the Go Mitlat Litlat, and also the Bia de Atzilut. Right? There's a little bit of a stira over here, because if you notice on the top of the page, that's what we did Mitlat Litlat, right? That was Bia Tachtonim. We did that on the top of the page, yeah? And this was supposed to be, in this box, the Bia de Atzilut. But suddenly when you get to number 2, which is not in the Siddur, we've added it in, it says the Bia Tachtonim as well, right? So if you look back at the heading, what I've put on the top, Tikkun Ksad the Bia Tzilut, Tikkun Bia Tachtonim, is both of them. See, in the heading we put both, because it's both, it's not one, it's both of them. It's just that you did a Bitlat Litlat only for Bia Tachtonim, and then you got to do this kavanah for both of them. And number 8, finally, is from the Shem and Sasson, is Lichlol V'la'alot Asiyat Chitzoniyut, which means the Arba Ma'asim, which is 30, 31, 32. Yifne V'yitol V'kat HaShachar, yeah? Of Asiyah, only the ones of Asiyah. They're not Tfilin, not Talit and Tfilin. Im Asiyat Pnimiyut. And then you mix it with, you join it with 26, 27, 28, which is going to go up into the next Hechal now. So when you start the next Kavanah, you have to take these up, right? All you've done now, you fixed Tikkun Ksat. The ones of Bia Tachtonim stay there. The ones of Bia Yatzilut is going to go into the next Hechal, which is going to be Parim Safim. What's next? Parim Safim is Hod. So now the whole thing has to repeat what we just said, but everything now you go from Hod to Hod to Hod to Hod to Hod to Hod. So you do the same thing over there. Okay, so just for today, I'm going to jump now to just the general kavanah. I'm not going to do any depth in it. But if we now go to before Baruch Shamar, after the Kaddish and everything, this is going to take a while if I don't jump the page numbers. What we're going to see is Zivut Kachbad again. Probably around 151. I think it starts on Hodul Hashem Kirishma and so it's going to be something like 165, maybe. Let's see. Yeah, exactly. Page 165. On page 165, you've got the page before that, you've got Zivu Kachbad, the short version of it. If you remember, there was a short version that they would do in the Yeshivat Rechovad. Now, some people did this, some people did the whole Lashon of the Rashash. And we took a Tamtzid of the Siddur Rashash, of the Lashon of Nahar Shalom. And you see, that, again, we've done it before, but now we need to do it again and see the differences. Whereas the first time we did it before Shaharith was for all the Bechinot of Asiyah, so it was the Malchut, all the different, from Ein Sof all the way down. So look, for example, it says section number 1, yellow number 1, yeah? Ein Sof derech vakim. So instead of going derech Malchuyot of each olam, you go through the vak, to the vak, to the vak, to the vak, and it comes down. So let's look at the main key points. Number 1, now what's emtzaim? That's olam yetzirah. The parts of chub the bina kolal de atzilut, which is number 3, meaning the one which number 3, which is right on the top in atzilut, goes down and midlabesh into 18, 19, and 20. Right? And then when it says mochin dezun, you know it's talking about the ones which are in the 3rd day. Number 2 already, it says they're mochin dezun. That means they're in the 3rd day. Okay? And I'm going to jump. So that all that's talking about our mochin. Oh, I've lost the page now. It's talking about the ones of yesterday. Versteht? The ones of yesterday. So that all that section number one, the yellow number one, is yesterday. Then when the Rashash carries on into I've called box number 2, Shefa lekachba the mochin de small. So all this shefa that you're going to trace through all the vak to the vak to the vak to the vak, it all comes down. And where does it go? The ones of yesterday. And then you take number 3, the ones of yesterday, which are the kachbad of yesterday, and you make a zivuk. And then they give the koch to the ones of zun of yesterday, and they do the birul to the ones of today. So you can see at the bottom, it's very hard for me to get these pages to stay in the right place. It jumps to the page. So we get to number 4. That's going to be where you're going to do the birur in every single echal, which is in the Haleluyot. So it's not exactly over here. So that's why I've written over there zele kaman, right? Zun the yetzirah den molo sima birur bezmirot to the ones of today, right? So if we then carry on to the place where that happens, so you'll see now the whole system again, but it's slightly easier because there's some bits which are left out. So if you go to the first Hallelujah, Hallelujah Nafshi, Nafshi Hashem, we're around 180. No, let's try 89. No, much further. 204. 204, Halin of Shi. This is now here you've got a Malchut and a Yisod separate. So don't ask why, but that's just how it is, okay? You've got a Malchut, there's a reason for it, but I'm not going to go into it now, right? So over here, you see you've got the Malchut of everyone. There's still 8. You still got the 8 different sections over here. But this is the same equivalent, but it's only Malchut this time, Malchut of every single one. Then, when you go to the next one, Kitov Zaron Eloheinu, so then you go to Yisod Malchut. That's almost identical to Ezehu Mekoman, except the whole thing is in Yetzirah. Yisod Malchut, it's exactly the same, right? And that carries on until you get to Haleluyot Bekocho. Then, if we now go to Yotzer Or, and by the way, here you don't have to do the mitlat litlat. Mitlat you do it before Baruch Shema in one go all together. You don't have to do it in each echal. So you're just doing the ones. If you understand what I'm saying, what is it? Because you do it in a different. You do it in one. It doesn't break down to the hallelujahs. That's not how it works. You do it all in one go. 258. No. Where it says Yotzer Or, it'll be over there. I think I've got it 271. I think it is. Should be around there somewhere. Yeah, 271. Crash by the Yotzer. Number 1. We've got all the covenant of that. Then what page is this? I'm in the right page, but I don't think it's showing me the right page on the top. Let me see at the bottom. This is page 165. Oh no, we did this already. This is Yetzirah. I need to the next one. Sorry, I jumped back to where I was. I had it before. Anyone got just after the Yotzer Or? 283. See, you know your way around the Siddur so easily now. Oh, Hashem. 283 is I can see the problem that I've got over here is when I'm typing in these numbers that I've taken out the Kaddish because I had to get into 800 pages. So not the page in the PDF program is not the same as the page on the screen. That's why I'm struggling. Okay, I'll get that in a minute. Pacience. It's going to finish in a second anyway. Trying to give a good. So before we start the Yotzer Baruch Choshech, or Baruch. See it? Here we are. Now I need to go back down. I went up too high. There we are. Baruch Hu, and then page 257. On page 257, you've got this short version, and 258, you got the long version, right? So again, you got number one, Lamshich Koch Me'ohen Sof Derech Binot. So before we had Malchuyot and Asiyah, then Vakim in Yetzirah. Now it's Derech Binot, the Binot of this world. It all comes up from that Atzilut. So number 6 of the Binah Kolel the Atzilut is number 6. Now I can't explain to this bit. Forget this bit because it's complicated. What happens is that when you get to Yotzer, instead of carrying on in Primiut, you have to go to the Chitzoniot Olamot. It's a special chidush that when you get to the higher part of the Chitzoniot Olamot, which is Abba Maasim, Tefillah is also Maaseh. Normally we say Dibur is in the Primiut, but there's another aspect of Dibur which is in the Maaseh Dibur. Right, so the Rashash learns that over here you don't carry on from here until Shema. You're working in the Chitzoniyut Olamot, and the other ones seem to automatically get schlepped up. So let's not learn that today. We're not starting anything new now. I just wanted to show you in general that the 1, 2, and 3, the same system again. Number 1 is where the Koch is coming to from Ein Sof, which is eventually to get to Kachbad of Etmol, which is number 2. Yeah, number 2 says Shefa lekachbad demochin. These are my titles, but Baruch Hashem, they explain inside what's going on. So number 2, Shefa lekachbad demochin de briat de etmol. Mekablim Shefa. Once they get that Shefa, yeah, you see, number 1, it says the word kachbad in there. You know, I'm not making it up. And it carries on going all the way down, and then eventually there's a zivug. So section 3, number 1, ve'az mizdavgim patzufei kachbad de briat. Right, that's called zivug kachbad. And there's Aviyah Kiavaya. And they give Mamshichim Mochin Shlemim the Gadlut. So they give complete that because they're already fixed, because they're from yesterday. Yeah. And who do they give it to? They will be giving it to later on when you go to the Halot of Yotzer or to Zun of today. Means one of yesterday's Zun gets it and gives it to the Birim of today. Is that clear? So again, Kachbad of yesterday, number 3, does a zivug. Number 4, they give it to Zun of yesterday, and Zun of yesterday is Metaken the Birim of today, and then it goes through the same system of the Hechalot. So if we just go to one of the Hechalot, we'll end with this. When you get to Yotzer or, so we'll start with Nata Sapir. Yeah, so you see over there 283. You see over there Yisodu Malchut, like we said, Tikkun Ktsat. And here we haven't got 8 parts, we've only got 6. Yeah, because it's easier. The Siddur made it quite easier. But what are they? Levarer ve'lalot. It's just done together in a short version. Right? So number 1, Yechaven la'alot. The other birur is not, it doesn't say levarer. Right? It starts off from the aliyah. So there's only 1 less. And then number 2 is the second birur already. Right? And then the halotam, that's the same. And then when you get to number 4, zivug. Lamshich mehem, lamshich lahem. And then it doesn't say about the joining them from in the chitzoniyot to the primiut, because it's a bit more complicated, because you're actually in the chitzoniyot already, so you don't need to, there's a little cheshbon to be made there. So that's why it goes down to 6. But it's the same system, really. Not that different. Any questions?